In the old days, it was very common for the younger people in America to be liberals because liberal ideas are they're fanciful ideas. They make sense on the surface. I mean, who doesn't want to take care of the climate? Who doesn't want to have clean water and clean air? Who doesn't want to protect animals? Every decent human being should want those things. And many more of the surface level leftist ideas and democratic ideas. We all work together, we share the wealth, nobody is above anyone else. Those all sound great to young minds. But but historically, as people aged and they started to participate in the real world, they realized that dreams, while they may be fun, and make you feel good are simply dreams. They're not real. They're not real reality. They're not realistic. And so it was very common for many young liberals once they got into their 30s and were had careers and they had families and they started to see how the world works that they understood that you have to have law and order when you have a civilization. It's fun to flip off the cops, but it's also important to have somebody come to your aid in the middle of the night when you are overwhelmed with a situation that you can't handle. Things like that. Um, but lately, probably due to the complete takeover of our educational system by communists who pose as Democrats, but also through the internet and the ability to just coalesce with groups that share your fantasies or your logic or lack of logic, the group think, that so many of us fall into where we just want to surround ourselves with people that agree with us. Because of that, you now have people who cling to these ideas, even though they're not good for humanity, they're not good for civilization, and they're not good for societies. And as we see a mass exodus from the left to the right, to the more conservative, people are starting to realize that you don't have to give up your desires for the environment to be clean, your desires for many of the quote unquote liberal concepts. You can still hold on to those. I do. I'm a huge environmentalist. Um, but I'm a very conservative person because I've traveled around the world. I've served my country in multiple uniforms. I get it. I get the reality. There's the world that we wish that we lived in, and then there's the world that we do live in. And there is good and bad, and there is evil in this world. And people, after the Charlie Kirk shooting, the murder, are realizing, those who have a little bit of ability to think for themselves are starting to realize that they were on the wrong side of history, the wrong side of humanity, the side that doesn't allow any discussion unless you agree with everyone in the room. How many Democrats that have converted over to the conservative side have lost all of their friends, their alleged friends, because there is no discourse, there is no discussion. You will think like our group, if we're Democrats, you will think like us, or we will ostracize you and we will hate you. And in some cases, we will take your life, as we just saw happen to Charlie. So, at this point, as we see this massive exodus from the left, the ones that hang on, the ones that are still there, those are the ones, in my opinion, who are the true evil ones. You can no longer blame this on youthful ignorance because we have too much instant communication. The truth is out there. People talking about Charlie Kirk is a racist. He hated gays. He said this. He wanted to, he wished slavery wasn't a. All of the lies are so simple to prove out that anybody who's not willing to seek the truth does not want to hear the truth, and that makes them evil in this context. So, welcome to all of you who still have the ability to free think that have left the left, because that is the best thing you can do, not just for society, not just for yourself, but for your soul as well. When you come on and people say, "Oh, I lost all of my friends when I came over to the right," they were not your friends. Those people are not your friends. The people who hold your lunchbox and push you into the fight after school. Yeah, and those aren't your friends. Real friends would try to prevent that fight from happening. Real friends would have your back, not push you into the conflict. These are not your friends. These are people who have agendas that they are born out of darkness, out of hatred for themselves, hatred for their parents, hatred that has been basically pushed upon them by other people who are dealing with their own hatreds. And I'm talking about college professors and teachers and alleged friends who tell you that the conservatives are the problem with the world and cops are all bad and we don't need law enforcement. We can police ourselves. And, you know, everything is about racism. That's all bullshit. And anyone with a little bit of brain power still left knows, not too deep below the surface, that they've been lied to and bullshitted. And I want to welcome you all home to the group of people who don't always agree with each other. I can't stand most of the Republican leadership. Can't stand them. But, you know, and I call myself a Republican simply to make it easier because I don't want to go into the description for people that I'm actually a constitutionalist, somebody that believes in societal rules and believes that it's okay to call somebody out when they're a negative person, when they do something bad. And if they happen to have a different color, that doesn't mean that I'm a racist. It just means that I'm talking about that person and he happens to look like this, and I'm going to use that as a descriptor so that you guys can all visualize what I'm talking about. Oh, you're a racist, you're a racist. That is just the most ignorant shit that you could ever imagine, and that is the bread and butter of the left. So come on over to the right if you haven't. Come home, look at all of the gay people who have come over and are shocked that we don't hate them. Nobody hates anybody. Nobody hates them. All right, so just come on over if you haven't. And you will be surprised at how free you feel once you cut off those parasites, those soul parasites who you thought were your friends. They weren't your friends. Your friends are over here.